Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all doing well as ever. If you're new here, do subscribe and leave a like on this video if you enjoy it. There's plenty of content to come. We're going to jump into another Black Series review today. We've got Clone Commander Fox here. If you watched my recent review of Clone Commander Bly, I said that I'd managed to find Bly and I was looking at trying to pick up a Fox. I've been watching Bad Batch and the Clone Wars, and you know, it's kind of reinvigorated my love for the Clone Wars and clones, and sort of like, you know, the fact that they've made these 6-inch clones and the commanders and the variants available has been, you know, a real bonus, because I love the kind of the difference of the clones, that kind of, you know, the paint schemes, the designs, the fact that they kind of they're individuals although they're all the same. So I've been really enjoying like the designs of those. Like Bly is such an awesome figure, great articulation, great looking, that sort of stuff. So when I saw Fox, I was like, okay, let's try and pick it up. So we're going to jump into it and start with what comes in the box. So first of all, I mean, he looks great, and Clone Commander Fox is a kind of re-release or a reissue. So like, this is the older body, just like Bly and that sort of stuff, and those figures were. But in terms of like what comes with him, so you're going to get the two pistols that we'll move on to in the holsters for the ARC Trooper kind of pistols. But in terms of the you get the standard clone blaster and a heavy blaster. But these are the best blasters I've seen in the Black Series line of the standard issue like Trooper blasters, because they're black but with a silver wash, like a silver weathering. And you can kind of see that it looks like metal, it looks like it's worn, it looks absolutely fantastic. So straight out, off the bat, like, this is the best paint application on the blasters that I've ever seen in the Black Series line. And the reason it's kind of more prominent as well is that these are the exact same mold and sculpt blasters in every other wave. So it's not like this was technology that they don't have like access to or anything like that, or it's simply that they just don't want to weather them. If every blaster rifle came weathered like this, I think it would be much better. But like, you can see here, like, that it looks so much better with the black and the silver wash, because it looks like worn metal. And you could argue that on screen they're black, or they're silver or grey or gunmetal grey, or whatever. But this is, like, to me, this is a more photoreal kind of realization of what a blaster rifle should look like. You could say, oh yeah, it's printed in black because it's black on screen, but then this is printed in black. It's just washed in this kind of this silver, or vice versa. Print it in the silver, wash it in the black. So it looks awesome. So that's really good. You are going to get those two. You're going to get two of the ARC Trooper pistols that come in the holster here. These are just the regular black sculpts, as you can see, and they're great little sculpts. And obviously the ARC Trooper pistols are really cool little blasters. In terms of their paint scheme, it would have been nice for them to go with the other two with that weathering, but it's fine, I don't really mind. And those pistols as well, I mean, they're kind of more of the holster look, or the double-handed look, so them being small and black is fine. Whereas with these big rifles that they're gonna clink on things and scratch things and whatever, it's nice to see the weathering. In terms of the figure, I mean, you can see that the paint applications and the weathering and like the the emblems and the helmet and stuff like that looks absolutely fantastic. If you watch the Clone Wars and you saw in season 7 with Ahsoka, and sort of the end of sort of season 5 and 6 with Ahsoka, and like the shock troopers and stuff like that, which are the Coruscant Guard, which he's kind of set up by Barasofi. Fox is the clone commander there, and he's an awesome looking character. And I've been watching the Bad Batch, and when they announced that they were going to release the shock trooper with the pauldron, I was like, decent, really wanted to get my hands on those. So I picked up 3 of those, and I thought what would round off a squad nicely would be picking up Clone Commander Fox and being able to kind of put him in shots with those shock trooper clones, and doing some projects with that. So as you can see, I mean, it's the red and white color scheme of the Coruscant Guard, but you know, just as a variant of a clone trooper, he looks absolutely fantastic. I mean, that head, you know, the helmet is awesome. I love the Phase 2 onwards helmets anyway, the Phase 2 clone helmet and obviously the Stormtrooper helmets, just because of the shapes of the kind of tubing look, rather than the kind of pyramid looking Phase 1 helmets, you know, where it comes out to and then up to a point. These ones are so cool, but like you can see here, like you've got great detail, of course, like with the color scheme, but you've got all that weathering, like the blacks and the greys, you know, the dirt on the shoulder pauldron here, you can see in the chest plate, you can see that he's dirtied, but like in a way that, you know, I've been in battle, and I like that. I really like that. You know, these figures have been weathered in a way where, you know, they look battle hardened sort of thing, because they look fantastic. And it's great to have, you know the shiny variant, the clean variant for certain shots, but you know, with a clone or a trooper or a clone commander or anything like that, like, you know, they're gonna have seen war, so it's nice. And obviously you can weather after the fact. You know, anything you buy you can weather, and you know, I've got, you know, a video on the technique of weathering that applies to any figure or vehicle or anything. You can go and check that out. It's on the channel. But I mean, in terms of, like, you know, out of the box, the fact that you get nice weathered weapons, you get 2 pistols, like ARC Trooper pistols, you get the soft goods of the, you know, the kind of ARC Trooper soft goods, and then you get the weathered, already awesome looking figure, and you get it weathered. So I mean, it just shows that they put more care and thought into it and the design. I mean, when you look at you know, in terms of the application from on screen to, you know, in hand figure, they've nailed it. Like, it's quite cool that they have the red bottoms, it contrasts really well with the white, but you know, from the ground up you've got some weathering going on, white moving to black and red, moving to soft goods, white again, you've got weathering. You can kind of see, if I can get this into focus for you, you've still got weathering going on the pistol holsters, which is really nice, and the belt is the browning. And again, moving up from, you know, from the belt up to the shoulder and the chest, and you can kind of see in here that, you know, they've really got that in there. And then I really like on the sort of nose portion of the helmet, you've got the weathering here on the like just underneath the visor, but also you've got like this kind of paint scratching, as if, you know, he's been in a ruck or two, let's put it that way. So you know, looking at the pauldron design, that's really cool. I like it, like with Wolf and stuff like that, and seeing their individual kind of like clan logos almost, but like their squad logos. It's kind of like, you know, I'm Commander Fox and this is my squad, and it's kind of like a really cool variant to not just be a different colour just because for any other reason other than to switch it up, but like, you know, they're a different colour but they also personalise themselves, and I think that's really cool. So in terms of articulation, we'll move on to articulation. Again, like with Bly and Gree and, you know, some of the older clone commanders that we've discussed on the channel before, you are going to have the older articulation styles, like with the feet, like with the heel here, you would be able to force that to a toe point, but it will bend. If I can get that to focus for you, it will bend that back of the lower leg piece out, so I won't be bending that out, but you get a really good toe point up. You know, it allows you to kind of put in dynamic wide stances as well, and you get the classic ankle pivot that you get with the Black Series line. So you know, you have the ability to stay planted and keep the flat foot look when you're doing these wider spread looks. In terms of the legs, if I can get it to focus again, my camera's been all over the place lately. You've got the double joint going, so that's really good. You can get all the way up, which is nice. In terms of in the front, you can swivel. It's that older kind of clone look where it will get up to 90, which is fantastic, but you can kind of swivel it out. But because it's on this like biceps style swivel that you get normally with the old biceps here, but on the thigh, you get this piece here. So as you can see, you've got in the front, it comes up to the point, that's the front part of the thigh. So the fact that you can swivel the thigh out, allows you to pick up all the way and actually go past 90, which is nice because it means that you aren't limited to, okay, when I come up the leg has to be like that, but it's more so the fact that you're able to you're able to get that range of motion. Like, he does have a really good split, but you're able to get that range of motion, or you can pivot these legs to be facing out. If he's looking that way and you want him to open up the body, you can have that kind of stance, or you can have that closed off stance, and you can pivot the leg that way. So that's really nice. So it's good articulation in the lower body and the legs. In terms of the waist upwards, you're going to get this lower abdomen is going to be set, and you're going to get that classic ball and socket, which means that you get a nice range of motion. The belt is loose, so it does allow you to sort of maneuver that in a way to sort of be articulated around it, rather than it knocking into it and stopping it. So you can see, obviously, you've got it's the rubbery textured one, so it flexes out the way nicely if you're bringing the legs up. So Clone Commander Fox has got great lower articulation, and then that kind of it continues up to the towards the top, really. I mean, this older style, it's kind of rounded just underneath. You can kind of see here, if I can get that into focus for you. It's kind of rounded, which allows the the body to get down over it. So you've got a really good, you've got really good ab crunch forward and back, side to side. But then you also get that swivel, which is nice. From the arms, that's where it's it's good articulation, but it's probably slightly limited compared to the newer types of sculpt and the material. Fox has the pivot in the wrist. If I can get that into focus for you, you've got the pivot there, so he will go 360 and he will turn in, which is good for various accessories and things. He's got double joint at the elbow, but obviously on the older clones, the thickness of the inside of the elbow pad gets in the way of that a little bit. So he will get to sort of like 90. It's not really 90, you can kind of push it that way, but then he's got the separate bicep swivel, so you can swivel out. So with the pauldron as well, it's the hard plastic, so it doesn't just like with the new rubber ones. That's what I'm sort of talking about, the material. You can kind of rotate it to the shallower part of the chest and then go up and over if you want to go up to 90. But he will kind of go, it's just more the fact that you're having to push on that and bend it, and you can kind of see where that's a bit of a nuisance, but he will go. But like I say, because he's got that bicep swivel, he can kind of get that arm up there, even though he doesn't have that added range of motion, but that being their pauldron being rubber would give, or a thinner less protruding version of the elbow pad. So the arm is sort of good and bad, if that makes sense, just because it's an older thing. It's got a lot of points of articulation. It's just more so that they're a bit clunky because they're the older style. If this was a rubber pauldron, he'd have a lot more range of motion. He does do 360s as ever, but bicep swivel is good. You don't see that as much on the newer ones. And then like with the elbow pad, it's good having double joints. It's just if that was thinner or it was less protruding, obviously it would help there. In terms of the helmet, it's the kind of ball and socket underneath, you can kind of see, so he does have a little bit of up and down. We'll go 360, a little bit of side to side. So of the Clone Commanders, he's one of the better head articulation sort of figures there is, in that that respect. So he's got a little bit of tilt here and there, but like I say, because he's got a lot of ab crunch and stuff like that, he can bend over, he can look back, and he's got a lot of range of motion in the legs as well. So in terms of articulation, it's really good, especially when you consider that it's an older figure. And then in terms of versatility, like I've talked about before, and I can't wait to get out, go on some trips and get away and do some toy photography projects and show you guys too, actually. But just for myself too, I miss being able to get out and do some toy photography projects. Really helps with my psyche, being able to get away and just be creative. But hoping some trips are coming soon, I can get away and do that sort of thing. But I talked about recently taking like Commander Wolf and Bly and Cody and Gree and that sort of stuff, and taking them away, and going and doing kind of like squad shots where they're sort of the clone commanders are all together rather than a commander and a load of regs, and doing some shots and also doing some solo stuff. But like I say, when the shock troopers come in, it'd be fun sort of playing around with some ideas of him leading his squad of Coruscant shock trooper guards. So definitely nice to be able to pick him up. I got him at a great price. I managed to find a steal, really. Some of these figures are harder to come by, and like I said, he's one of the older releases, and typically he goes for quite a big price at the moment. So I was glad I was able to get him at a more reasonable price. But I definitely recommend picking him up if you manage to find one out in the wild or find one somewhere. He's an awesome figure. Like I said, he's got great articulation when you consider when he was made. He's from a previous era, a bygone era, if you will. But the articulation, there's more points of articulation, or there's more range. It's just more so that the materials and the sizing that they've used on a lot of the things from the older waves, like the pauldrons, keeping them hard plastic meant that you kind of had to force them over. Whereas with the pauldrons now, you don't have to have such a wide shoulder, because you can just move the pauldron because it's rubber, kind of like a rubber material, and that kills both birds with the one stone. So in terms of versatility, he's a clone. He's a specialized clone, the kind of ARC trooper style clone. He's a commander. So you can do all sorts of things. I mean, you could do prequel stuff. You could do after the Empire move away from clones, him going rogue and doing whatever he wants. You could do all sorts of things. Especially with it being a soldier, troopers are an awesome thing to get your hands on, because the possibilities are so endless. And in terms of, for me, it's for toy photography purposes. So he's a great pickup for me. I'm super excited to pick him up, because he's an awesome looking figure. But in terms of shelf presence, you could definitely just have him in a display and he would hold his own. He'd definitely have some good presence on the shelf. And like I say, I'm looking forward to getting those shock troopers in and doing some squad shots and taking a look at him there. So in terms of a score, I'm going to put him up there with Bly. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. He's a great looking figure as clone Commander Fox, and hopefully we get more variants and things like that in the future, and things like that. I've got the Rex pre-ordered. There's some things going up about that, how it's it's not the normal Rex. It's kind of like he's got an attachment to his helmet now, and he's got the kind of cloak to be disguised and stuff. But that I wanted to get my hands on a Captain Rex and have done for a long time. So I'm willing to take some apples and oranges there with the bit of difference. I recently I've been looking into some 3D printed things, and there's a company that I bought some Phase 2 Black Series 3D print helmets from, to customise and put on my Phase 1, couple of my Phase 1 clones, see how that goes. And they have some awesome stuff on their shop, CD prints. Definitely recommend go and check them out. They print all sorts of things, from weapons, head sculpts, and the reason I bring them up is they have like the actual Captain Rex pauldron with the wide kind of the blue, it's not painted yet, but the blue shoulder pauldron kind of thing that the ARC Troopers have, which on the new version of him from the Bad Batch, he doesn't have that, just the leather pouches, or the leather looking pouches, which is kind of strange, because obviously we haven't seen Rex again in series, so we don't know why that is. Other than because we saw him earlier in the series and he has it, so I'm imagining that he doesn't have it later in the series. But whether that's to do with that being associated to rank and him saying I don't need it, then throwing it away or whatever. But it'd be interesting to see. So obviously stay tuned for more content on the channel, and if you're like me and you're watching Bad Batch on Disney Plus, then obviously keep watching every Friday, and we'll see what happens, and we'll see what releases we get from that. So As always, guys, I hope this was informative, and I hope you've enjoyed this video of Clone Commander Fox. And you take care, and I'll see you in the next one.